Hey beautiful people, I'm Jennifer Kenny and this video is about managing high-functioning remote software development teams. So I have worked with software development teams all over the world and I have seen how the remote aspect of working on a global team can seriously erode their ability to be able to do really great work and also their ability to be able to build trust with each other and enjoy the work that they're doing. And a couple of things that I've seen in that is that there are three very specific secrets, so to speak, that if remote teams actually follow these practices, that they can significantly improve their ability to be able to coordinate with each other and their ability to be able to build trust with each other. When you're working on a remote team, trust is even more important than it is if you're working on an in-person, in-situ team. And the reason for that is we do lots of things to build trust with each other just inherently by being together as human beings. We do things like we meet each other for lunch, we go for a coffee, we bring each other water, we check in with each other, we ask each other how we're doing. When we're working on remote teams, we don't have the same kind of opportunity to kind of rub up against each other in terms of touching base and checking in and taking care. And so what happens is we're starting with almost a trust deficit, even though people might be going in with the same level of trust they might have with a physically co-located worker. Over time, what happens if we don't extend ourselves and intentionally build trust with people we're working with remotely, we end up with a degradation of coordination over time. So three of the things that I consider to be incredibly important when working with high-functioning remote teams is that do not think that visibility and clarity are the same thing. So many times what we do is we think that if we have visibility into the work that a remote team is doing, that means that we're clear and they're clear on what it is that they're working on and what we're asking them to do. So simply because they've logged stuff in a system, whatever our tracking system is, whether it's Jira or whatever it might be, if we're logging something in a tracking system doesn't necessarily mean that the people 60,000 miles away are actually clear on what it is that we're doing or what it is they're doing and what we're asking them to do. So in the absence of a deep understanding that transparency or visibility is not the same as clarity, what we do is we tend to think that our systems are telling us the truth, so to speak, and what they're doing is they're giving us visibility into what our remote workers are doing. I would say that you really need to question that the idea of producing clarity in conversation with our remote workers is incredibly important, because what it does over time is it creates that sharing of the minds. And as human beings, we very much seek to do that with each other. And one of the ways that we build trust with each other remotely is that we do have a sharing of the minds and we look to build that over time. And even if we have geographic barriers and time barriers and sometimes even language barriers, that meeting of the minds element is our stabilizing, trust-based force that allows us to really be able to work effectively together over time. So when we think about clarity, how do we produce clarity for the team? Are we checking in with the remote team, not as a team, but as individuals to make sure they're clear on what is being asked of them, that they understand the bigger context that they're working in, and that they really are able to contribute in a way that they can feel proud about it and they can see the bigger picture of what it is that they're contributing to. Visibility does not equal clarity is one of the key things that I've seen remote teams take care of very effectively. The second one is that our definition of done, when we think, and we've talked about that in other videos, but when we think about our conditions of satisfaction, our work getting completed in terms of our definition of done, many times that definition of done will unravel a little bit as it travels across time zones, because we have different understandings, obviously, of the time, and we're also not necessarily clear on what we mean by that. And even if we're specific about that and we try to pay attention to it, what happens is we don't necessarily have a shared definition of done because our cultural standards are going to be different, our metrics are going to be slightly different. So what we're trying to do over time as we look to create higher levels of functionality for teams, of functioning for teams, is What we're looking to do is really create a clear shared understanding of what definition of done actually looks like, so that we're building a level of satisfaction and declaring satisfaction into all of the systems that we're working in. So our remote teams are getting those success celebration hits on a regular basis, and we have a clear understanding of what we're actually asking them to do. The third one is, it is difficult to be able to declare breakdowns or talk about problems or issues when you are dealing with a remote team. One of the things that I've seen successful remote teams do is they completely normalize having those conversations. They don't make it a big event. They don't make it a once-off. They do it as an integral part of just the coordination. Hey, that didn't work for me yesterday because you asked for it at the end of day. I assumed it was end of day my day. You assumed it was end of day your day. We had a breakdown. It didn't work. How do we make sure that we coordinate that more effectively together next time? That's one of the simplest, easiest ones. But the complexity of the breakdowns when we are working with a remote, globally distributed team are actually a lot higher than they are when we are working with a local team. So we need to pay extra attention to breakdowns in particular. So if we're looking at how we really manage high functioning remote software development teams, there are three areas that I would strongly recommend that you look at. One is understanding that visibility and clarity are not the same things. The second one is that making sure that our design of definition of done is something that is actually shared across cultures, time zones, languages, and that we have a clear understanding there. And I don't mean generally as handed down by the senior leadership. I mean specifically as communicated to and conversed with the team that are doing that are remote. And then the third one is that we really normalize breakdowns and that we help them come into the fold, so to speak, in terms of really building their understanding of how it is that they engage with everyone else on the larger team, and how they navigate the larger team, and how they make sense of what's going on, and how they really are able to kind of integrate themselves into the daily workflow of the headquarters team or the larger team that they are a subset of. Those three areas, paying particular attention to them and being very careful with them, puts global teams in a position where they can begin to start improving the quality of the coordination between themselves and remote teams that are a subset of the larger one. And what I've seen over time is that opens doors for more effective ways of really building that coherence, global coherence across the team. There are a lot of wonderful practices around specifically how to do that, but your stepping stone practice is really to begin to understand these three and how to put them into place and into play in your team. As you start improving your ability to be able to manage your high functioning remote team, I strongly urge you to also have a look at my execution by design, because this is essentially what we're talking about. Is you're going to be executing with these people for a long time. Do it by design rather than by accident. So I have a white paper that I think will be valuable for you and hopefully will help you. It's available on my website. There's also a link down in the comments below. On the website it is www.jenniferkenny.com/execution. And what it'll do is it'll give you an overview and an understanding of how to think about coordination as it relates particularly to distributed and remote teams. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know how it works for you, and I wish you the best of luck. Take care.